Hey everyone, welcome back to Week Ahead Astrology Breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and the transits this week are very straightforward. It's going to be very easy to follow. So before we get to that, let's recap some of the themes from last week. So most notably was that Sun Mercury retrograde cazimi. So this was a really beautiful example as you increase your knowledge about astrology of what a cazimi is. So a cazimi is when a planet is so close to the sun that's said to be in the heart of the king, so to speak. So I kind of give the example, like if you were in Kim Kardashian's Instagram story and she tags you, probably everyone's going to go to your Instagram, see what you're doing, or you're like really next to a really warm, benevolent figure that remotivates you or re-inspires you, or just things can happen very quickly because there's like that spotlight energy being magnified there. So given that Mercury in Virgo with regards to essential dignity, how strong it can act, Mercury in Virgo is in its domicile and its exaltation. So it's quite literally the most powerful Mercury can be. So that's why this cazimi in particular was so incredible. So I was getting DMs about people having mental clarity, expansion, job offers, promotions. And if you weren't in that theme, that's okay. There's still going to be really strong aspects for Mercury in Virgo, especially when it stations direct, which is going to be coming up this week. But it's just something to note that as you continue your journey, and learn more about astrology and how you can use these transits, you can kind of use these auspicious days to your advantage. So for me, I went and renewed my passport on this cazimi, and I was going to do it the week that we had that Pisces full moon, but then I just ended up being a sleepy kitty, which is fine. This is a really cool story though. So I went there first thing in the morning because I couldn't get an appointment because it was just like non-available, none available, none available. So I go, the room is packed. I got there at 8:35. It opened at 8:30. The room, everyone is seated. I'm like, this is wild. I made friends with one of the workers who is a Taurus. So her and I were best friends, obviously. And so I had to get my photo taken, went back, and I was like, there's no way I can make it here before I have to get to my next appointment. I thought I'd give myself 2 hours, not nearly enough time. So I go to my other appointment, come back, the room is empty. And so I went, maybe waited in line for 10 minutes. And since I'm going to California in November, they rushed my application. They're like, hey, we'll put this on priority. You don't need to wait here any longer. They like stamped my form, gave me the receipt. They're like, you're good to go. So from start to finish, it was like 15 minutes. I'm like, this is so incredible with Mercury in Virgo in terms of like clerical needs, getting everything organized and structured, done. And Virgo rules my ninth whole sign house, which has to do with international affairs, documentation for international transfer. Hello, Sun, Mercury, cazimi in the ninth. Huge check mark. Another fun manifestation of this for me was like the sun and the moon rule the left and the right eyes. And so I had to get contacts, precision with an eye. And I found a promo code for a different website than I normally use. And the order literally came the next day. I've never had contacts get delivered that fast. And I've been getting contacts online for like 10 years. So just like fun synchronicities. And I say this a lot in my content. That's what I love about astrology is that there's so many ways these things can manifest. So like a sale on contacts and it literally came the next day because Mercury can be considered like Hermes going up and down from Olympus to the underworld extremely fast, undetectable. So the speed or the haste in which a strong Mercury transit, especially a strong Mercury transit in Virgo can happen. And that often too can manifest in Gemini energy because Mercury also rules Gemini with their quick wit, their humor, them bouncing around, going everywhere. So it helps you understand the energy of that planet and also the signs which it has strong dominion over. So just some fun astro stories to share. If you have any other fun Sun, Mercury retrograde cazimi stories to share, please let me know in the comments. And then more of an announcement, clerical thing. And this is a really good Mercury retrograde energy to partake in. But Camille, my sweet assistant Pisces angel from heaven, she addresses a lot of the DMs for Stillwater's Instagram. And sometimes people are inappropriate. And whether that's like emotionally unloading unsolicitedly or just like sending very strange, odd, inappropriate messages, I've given Camille free range to restrict, to block those accounts because that's not appropriate. It's not her job to have to answer that type of energy. But a lot of times she'll get questions that are easily answered on my website, on Stillwater's website, including rates and what I charge. That's all my website. There's no hidden fees. There's nothing wild. Everything is right there. And then in terms of the astro question of the week, a lot of people will either like send a voice note or send DMs asking for clarity. It's like, what did you mean? And so moving forward, if you have an astro question to submit, or you want clarity on something that's already been spoken on, just put it in the comments on YouTube, because I'll go through there and respond and answer quite regularly. And that way, if I know there needs to be clarity, if there's a question on there, I can answer the question in the comment on the YouTube video of the week. And that way people can see the response, and then they won't be asking the question because it's already been answered. So I trust that all makes sense and that we can keep on moving beautifully. So with that all being said, let's hop into the astrology question or the week ahead first, and then we'll get to the astrology question of the week, which is really nice, actually. So we're starting on Monday, September 11th. Also a good day to give gratitude for what you have, considering what we all know happened many moons ago. And look what we have here. We have the moon Venus conjunction in Leo. So to start off, we have the dark moon phase happening. So the balsamic moon phase, which means that the moon is ending her cycle before we have the Virgo new moon on Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you might have already been feeling a little bit like a sleepy kitty or needing more rest on Sunday night. So this is a reminder to take it easy, that you don't have to push or do too much at the start of the week. This could also be a great energy, especially with the moon making that square to Jupiter and Venus also making that applied square to Jupiter, that there could be something benevolent or something that gets you really excited, or there could be something that you know is coming up for you, something that's going to allow you to be seen. It could be a new relationship, it could be a new job, it could be a new promotion, or just a creative idea. Be aware of what's coming through. And if we want to receive the downloads, the relationship, the love, the pleasure, we need to be in our feminine energy. We have both of the feminine planets, the traditional energy of feminine with the moon and Venus conjunct. So taking time to relax, to rest, to do nothing on Monday would be advantageous, so that we can feel the expansion, we can feel the energy. We also have the moon making that nice sextile to Mars and Libra. So this could also be a day where you recalibrate, where you get more balance. Maybe you want to do a little bit of work and you're like, great, now I need to rest to make sure I'm feeling in a good state of flow moving forward for the rest of the week. So Monday's a really great time to ask yourself, how are my energy levels? Do I need more rest? And maybe you rested all weekend and you're feeling inspired. You're feeling like you want to connect and you want to create. That can also be a good energy. So just check in first thing on Monday and see what you need to help yourself rebalance, to be in a state of reception for pleasure and creativity to come in. This is also a reminder too that Venus is still in her post-retrograde shadows. So if you remember last week, Venus stationed at around 12 degrees, 12 minutes, and she's only at 13 degrees, 17 minutes at the start of the week. So she's still getting her sea legs, so to speak. It was actually wild. Last week, I had two past lovers, both of whom are Libras, being like, hey, how's it going? Like, we should connect. And I was like, wow, like these themes of Venus post-retrograde shadows are still coming back. And I share that because at least how it manifested for me when I got those messages, it wasn't like annoying. It was just kind of like a cute nod from Venus being like, you know your worth. You maybe would have entertained this in the past, but now you know exactly what you want. And so there might also be an energy as well where there can be great pride and power in knowing your worth, or knowing that it's safe for you to be seen, or wanting to be seen. And then that's where the expansion can come with the moon, Venus making a square to Jupiter. So knowing your worth, not settling, knowing that it's safe for you to rest, to allow for greater and better to come in. That's the vibe on Monday. Now, Tuesday. So Tuesday, we have the moon making a trine to Uranus. So with this energy, there could be a shift. There could be momentum going. There could be something changing. Pardon me. The moon in Leo is making a square to Uranus. And this is coming into like Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of feels like a contraction, like things are going to shift. One manifestation can be like, if you're feeling uncomfortable, be grateful for feeling uncomfortable, because you have to be pushed out of your comfort zone to grow. We know that. I always give the analogy of being at the gym when you are on that treadmill or lifting the weights and you feel like you don't know if your body's going to make it, and then it does, and you're like, cool, now I know that I can maintain this level of energy at this frequency without failing. And then you get to grow and grow and grow. So this could also be the themes that we were talking about yesterday of regards to how do I want to be seen? How do I want to feel safe? How do I want to grow and expand in, especially if you look at the houses in which Leo and Taurus rule, that will give you an energy of where you're needing to push yourself outside of your comfort zone for this new chapter that's going to be taking place with this Virgo new moon. So on Tuesday, just notice where, and the change could be quite simple. You're like, great, I'm feeling exhausted and burnt out. I know that I have deadlines or things to do, but I need to honor and listen to my body so I'm not going to get sick or I'm not going to burn out. This is a shift that my body needs. So just pay attention, given that the moon rules over the body, in addition to our emotions and home and mother and all those different energies, what needs to change. I mean, that could also be a different manifestation of the moon as well, in terms of your emotional needs or how you need to be nurtured or how you want physically to be seen. So let's say you're in a career that isn't feeling aligned anymore, and you're like, Tuesday makes it very obvious after you're taking time to reflect. It's like, this isn't for me anymore. I want to pursue something else or different type of position or attract different types of clients that is going to allow me to share my gifts, my knowledge, my humor, whatever it ends up being. So just noticing where you need and are feeling a shift on Tuesday. Another thing to note is that the moon is making this beautiful trine to the North Node in Aries. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this shift or this feeling of discomfort is pushing you to where you need to be. So as a bonus or more like intermediate way of looking at this transit, you can also look to your Aries ruled house and see if there's an energy that's pushing you to a purpose that's aligned with the Aries and the Leo part of your chart. Okay. Beautiful. Now, Wednesday, this feels like you getting over a limiting belief, a fear, an imposter syndrome, because we have Mercury retrograde in aspect to the moon in Virgo, and they're opposing Saturn. This could also feel like you're running out of time or that you're not good enough or that no matter what you do, it's not changing. This could also be a vibe as well. Like if you've ever had when you're switching your health regime, like you're switching how you eat in terms of figuring out like a illness or you wanting to get in better shape. And maybe you've been doing it for a few weeks, a couple months, and you're just not seeing, you're like, when am I finally going to see and to feel the change? And that might be like the Saturn energy of like, you need to be persistent, continue the work, even if you're not seeing the immediate results, because Saturn is all about the long game. And the Mercury retrograde, especially in Virgo, given it's such a mercurial energy, it's like it might be you getting in your own way, you getting in your head on Wednesday. This would be a great day to avoid social media. There's really no reason for you to be on there because there could be something that you find triggering or that you feel like someone else is further ahead than you and it makes you spiral. So especially given we're in the dark moon phase, go inward. This could be a great day too to bring it back into the body. Even like a good foot bath, given that Pisces rules the feet, it's like I'm going to bring it out of my head and bring it all into my feet. Like if you need to want to get a pedicure, manicure, massage, therapy, having someone hold space for you to help clear your mind, like Wednesday would be a phenomenal day. And if you're someone that holds space for clients, I'm sure you'll see a lot of breakthroughs on Wednesday because you're helping them overcome something that might feel very strenuous or something that's been very hard mentally so that they can be of further service, that they can move forward. And this could also be for everyone, like the feeling of inadequacy because of perfectionism tendencies or because of perfectionism mindset. We can let that go and know that something else is coming in because guess what? On Wednesday, now this is a good part of the transit, the moon is making that applied trine to Jupiter. So there's going to be like some kind of resource or some kind of benevolence that's coming in. And again, this could be in form of like a TV show, podcast, audiobook. One way, because remember last week we had the sun making that trine to Jupiter. As I finished watching Sex and the City, the first and the second movie, I'm like, okay, I need a new show to watch. And We're Here, which is a show about amazing drag queens going to these like rural parts of the United States to talk about love and community through the art of drag. That came across my screen. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen the first two seasons. Now season 3 is out on HBO. And when I tell you, it is so incredible to see these artists share their love, their benevolence with other people to help them change their mindset about like what love is and their artistry. Like it was just such a beautiful energy of this sun Jupiter for me of like seeing people in their community defending what is right, which is love, the highest frequency, love and acceptance, equality. Like, it was just so amazing. Also very Mars and Libra, right? And for me, seeing that on the screen gives me hope, because like humanity is healing. We are elevating what it means to accept one another. And the fact that HBO, a massive network, is producing this and showcasing this all over the world is amazing. That could also be an energy of a moon Jupiter aspect coming through right before the Virgo new moon. It could also be like a mentorship energy, like someone holding space for you, or you wanting that accountability so you can feel safer, you can make more money, you can accept more love, right? Jupiter in Taurus. So just keep your soul, your heart, your eyes, your ears open on Wednesday for that type of support, as it may come through in many different shapes and sizes. Now, Thursday is the Virgo new moon. So depending on your time zone, it'll be a different part of Thursday. But we also still have this amazing trine-based aspect to Jupiter and Uranus. So things are going to shift on Thursday. So like I said, Tuesday, Wednesday might feel like a contraction, you reevaluating things. But then Thursday is going to be phenomenal. Just kind of like when we had the Sun, Mercury retrograde Gazimi last week on Wednesday, this Thursday will probably feel like a very forward momentum day, or that things have clarity, or that there is this fresh start occurring. Of course, it'll be different depending on everyone's chart, but just know there's a newness, this vitality, this energy that's coming through. And this is also an energy too, which we always have had for the past couple of years, given that Neptune is in Pisces, is that there's going to be this energy of what's pragmatic and for sure versus the dream, and how you can balance both of those. So I'll be talking about this more in the Virgo New Moon workshop that'll be up later this week, so you can keep your eyes checked for that. Now, Friday, the moon is finishing up in Virgo before it enters Libra, but I really want us to pay attention right now to the moon trine Pluto retrograde aspect that's happening on Friday, because this could be you unlocking your power. And given that, again, like I said, Mercury rules over Virgo, and having 3 planets in Virgo, really pay attention to your Virgo ruled house this week, because there's going to be a lot of activation there. But with this trine to Pluto, this is going to be the last time that we have a Virgo new moon with Pluto and Capricorn, because next year Pluto will be in Aquarius, where it's going to be for 20 years, right? So there could be something very big and intense happening. I mean, this is probably the last time we're going to have that is in our timeline, because Pluto's going to take a long time before it gets back into Capricorn. So this is a momentous day. This is a very strong aspect. So in terms of your emotions, your strength, your intellect, what you know to be right, how you want to purify and organize moving forward, there might just be something that finally clicks for you on Friday. I think it's going to be something around mindset or beliefs, given by everything that's coming through, especially with that Venus retrograde in Leo, us moving through that, us finishing up Mercury's retrograde, because Mercury's going to station direct later today on Friday. So I'm sure that a lot is going to click and fall into place on Friday. So please know it'll be a great day to journal, a great day to reflect on what's been happening for the past couple of weeks in September, over the summer, what you've been moving through, as we're about to enter autumn in the Northern Hemisphere when we get to Libra season. So be open to see what is shifting on Friday. Good. Now we move to Saturday. Now we see that Mercury is direct. Great. There's no more excuses, no more scapegoating for those of you who fearmonger around retrogrades. But if you're a fan of me and Stillwater Alchemy, you know we don't do that here. However, now we have the moon in Libra making that conjunction to Mars and a sextile to Venus. For me, this just screams like being social, having fun, maybe a little bit of shopping, or doing things that just are going to put you in a fabulous state. I mean, we also have the lovers like Mars and Venus in strong aspect, and then Libra here, the moon. So this just seems like a great day to be social, to go out, to have some fun, enjoy. There's probably going to be a lot to talk about given what happened over Thursday and Friday. There's likely something to have shifted or changed. So enjoy that social element. With the moon and the Mars, this conjunction with Mercury just stationing direct, there may be a conversation that needs to happen for you to feel more grounded, more calm, to maybe dissolve a conflict, or to negate maybe something more turbulent in the future. So that may happen. So if you need to have a conversation or to get some grievances out, this would be a nice day to do it, because you do have that sextile to Venus. And this is a moon sign ruled by Venus. So having Venus helping here, I think would be very strong, especially with Mercury station direct. Maybe something had just clicked, especially given yesterday with that moon Pluto trine. Maybe you want to address a power dynamic, or how you want to be treated, or the type of power you wish to hold in a certain relationship. that could be something that's also addressed here on Saturday. And on Sunday, we now have the moon conjunct the south node. We have the moon making a square to Pluto. This could be a very easy or loud energy of letting go of something. This could be letting go of a relationship. This could be letting go of a power dynamic. This could be letting go of like a role that you feel like you have to do to keep things in check or in balance. So just note this in terms of, do I need to let something go to feel more balanced? Is there a belief, a fear, a limiting mindset that I need to let go of that is holding unnecessary power over me? It just seems very likely that there needs to be some fine-tuning, recalibration of the scales so that we can move forward holding the power and the energy that we want. So that's something I just ask you on Sunday. It's like, do I need to let go of something to acquire more power? That'd be a good journal prompt on Sunday. Okay. Boom. So our astrology question of the week is from Corinne. Hey, Corinne. Do you have insight on planetary returns, perhaps the flavors of each as they return in our natal chart, and if and how it depends on the house and sign that they're in the natal chart? I know the chart for each return can also tell something about the incoming themes. So talking about that, because we talked about Saturn through all the houses. I know we've talked about Saturn returns, but this is just a good recap. So first and foremost, a very obvious one is your solar return, also known as your birthday. So this is very obvious when we talk about birthdays in terms of certain signs. We'll talk about like a birthday month. One that comes to mind is Leo. It's almost like August is just Leo celebration time. And of course, Leo is ruled by the sun. So there can be that energy. I know myself as being a Scorpio, I'm very like discreet, don't really love a lot of attention sometimes. So, and I've known this about other Scorpios that they're not like super loud about their birthday because the sun in Scorpio, it's a water sign. So it can maybe be more discreet. However, this question was talking about, does it matter which house it's in, the aspects that's making? And this is a yes. So this is going to be more of a maybe intermediate or advanced topic, because we're not just looking at the return itself. We're looking at the aspects that it's making in real time. We're going to be looking at the sign that it's in, especially if we're talking about, let's say, a Saturn return. Saturn takes approximately 28 to 30 years to return back to its original placement, right? So a Saturn return is going to be one of maturity, of knowing things around discipline, hard work, time, mastery. And I always talk about a Saturn return, given that like in the 90s, early 2000s, that trope around 30, 30, 30, a lot of dread happening around 30, like there's no more birthday cake after 30, that you have to have your life together. And that's often when people are getting married, buying a home, finessing business or career-wise. And those are all very Saturnine themes. A home, the structure in which you live; a marriage, a very long-lasting energy contract; your career, commerce, and your work ethic. So if we're talking about Saturn, it makes sense that those themes are amplified during a Saturn return. Now, for Saturn specifically, it is a malefic planet, but it becomes less malefic if you're born during the day. It becomes less cold. So then if you're going to go through your Saturn return and evaluate that, you want to look at, are you a day chart or a night chart? And then what sign is it in? Because if it's in its home signs of Capricorn and Aquarius, it's going to be more constructive and it's going to probably serve you a lot better than if it's in one of its maybe not so favorite sign, like Aries, which is coming up, which we'll talk about that in a few years. Now, one easy way of looking at a return is the moon, because you have a lunar return every month. So with a lunar return, it can be a very good emotional reset or an emotional check-in. So whenever the moon is in the same sign as your natal moon, that is going to be your lunar return. I know how that manifests for me, given I'm an Aries moon. I always have so much more energy when the moon gets to Aries and it's completing that cycle in my chart, because when the moon is in Pisces, especially now with it in Neptune, I'm so exhausted. I'm always so tired when the moon is in Aquarius and Pisces, because it's rounding out that cycle and about to start anew. So that's something you can track all the time, especially if you want to track maybe how you can be productive or your energy levels. If you have a lot on your plate, then you're saying, hey, I know Wednesday is my lunar return. I'm going to feel way more activated. I don't have to put this unneeded pressure on myself to perform and to get all this admin stuff done and go to the gym. I'm going to wait until my lunar return. And then I know I'm going to have a surplus of energy. And that's going to serve me that much more. Now, let's talk about really quick a Mercury return, because this happens rather frequently, or the most frequent aside from the moon. in the sense that it's going to depend on what house it's in and then the aspects that it's making. So let's say you have Mercury in Virgo in the third house. So right now you'd be going through your Mercury return, and Mercury is in a very strong sign. And currently we have Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, a fellow Earth sign. So this would be a phenomenal time to have a Mercury return if your natal Mercury is in Virgo, because getting strong aspects to Jupiter and Uranus. However, we also have that opposition currently to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So then if you're looking at the return in your chart, you'd want to see where the trines are coming from, where the oppositions are coming from, so you kind of know what themes are coming up, which again is a bit of a more intermediate advanced way of looking at a Mercury return, Mars return, Venus return, whatever it is. And then of course, with it being in the third house, that's all about communication, neighborhood, community. Also, again, Mercury rules over commerce. So the third house also speaks to siblings, cousins, extended family. So maybe you've been wanting to do a podcast with your cousin, and during a Mercury return, you're like, hey, this is a perfect time for us to do this. We now have lots to say. We've acquired more knowledge. We're more comfortable in our voice. Let's start this podcast on our Mercury return. And it doesn't necessarily, of course, have to happen on a Mercury return, but that would be a very strong way of looking at a Mercury return in Virgo in the third house. So yes, there's a lot that you can look at. You want to look at what the planet is that's going through its return, because the elements and energies of that planet are going to be up for review, are going to be examined. Something like a Saturn return, like we talked about, happens every 28 to 30 years. A Jupiter return only happens once every 12 years. So the outer planets, of course, are going to take a bit longer compared to Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and the moon, of course. So with that, look to the house that's in, the sign that it's in, and the aspects that are being made in real time, because then that's going to give you a flavor of what's going to be up for review, the themes of the planet, and then also the aspects that it's making. Because that's very easy, of course, that you can evaluate during a solar return, is looking at where the placements are. And that's, again, how we look at annual perfections, because annual perfections are taking the snapshot of your solar return chart and how that's going to manifest for the next 12 months, which for me is one of my favorite timing techniques ever, which I do a lot with my clients all the time. And lastly, I talk about Jupiter in Taurus, Jupiter through all the houses in my Jupiter in Taurus webinar. And given that Jupiter is now retrograde, I am feeling generous, of course. So that Jupiter in Taurus webinar is now on sale. You can click the link in the description of this video, find it. The sale is already applied on my website. So if you want to learn more about Jupiter in Taurus, whenever people ask questions on that page, I answer them very promptly. So there's another avenue for you to learn more about Jupiter and how that can be applied in your chart, especially now that it's in the sign of Taurus. Okay. So that is all I got for today. Have a beautiful week. Start off the week resting, reflecting, evaluating. Thursday is that Virgo new moon, and then a lot is going to be shifting Thursday, Friday. Be ready for the change. Be open to the change. Know that everything is already working on your highest favor. Divine timing is always perfect. And have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.